Let's talk about the intermediate challenge. On the first question, and everyone managed to solve it, which is a great thing, right? So we receive an array and we wanted to get the mean number out of this array, right? Interestingly, the description of the details of the question ask us to use math.mean, but sorry, yes, math.mean, correct, but Alex ignored it. So, Alex,
Yes, I did.
let's solve it, right? So look, please use math.mean, right? So you radically ignore that. So let's solve it. Right, so first of all, Alex, you tell me, argument name.
Numbers.
Numbers. Brilliant. And then what?
Return.
Yep.
Before numbers, you need 3 dots.
Dot numbers?
No, before. In the argument.
In the argument of what? Here.
Yes.
Okay.
There you need 3 dots because now we are using the rest parameter.
And then what?
And now we return math.mean.
Yep.
And parentheses, dot numbers.
Again, dot numbers?
Yeah.
Why twice?
So,
is there any need to do the same thing twice? And why? Any feedback here? Where? Correct. So the first one is not necessary. So let's see what we got now. What we got is numbers. What type of data number is? Numbers is. It's an array, correct. So numbers is still an array. But however, unfortunately, math.mean doesn't play with arrays. So if we try to do that, math.mean 1, 2, 3, 4, that won't work. The way math.mean works is with a comma-separated list of arguments. So we need to transform an array into a comma-separated list of arguments. That's why the rest operator in here makes sense. Because in here we say, hey, wait a minute, take the array and spread it. In other words, we're transforming this into that. Right? And math.mean feels really comfortable with this structure, right? So we are spreading. If we do that, in reality, we are doing on the other way around. We are gathering. But in here doesn't make sense. Gather makes sense when you have an unlimited somehow number of arguments and you want to gather them all. But in that case, we know how many arguments do we have. How many arguments do we have? Just one, right? So we don't need it here. We just need to spread the elements of the array to calculate the mean.
Got it.
Does it make sense, Alex?
Yes, now I understood how it works.
Perfect. Anything else? No? All right, let's see what everyone else did. I mean, look, yeah, so that's yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you got, look at the semantics. You see on the intermediate, apart from Victor and you, everyone else is using good semantics. Numbers, values, that's good, right? But Victor and you don't use array, because array of what? Array of Street Fighter players? Array of what, right? Still correct, but this is very easy to fix, right? It's just about thinking of it. Cool. Question number 2. I'm going to call Marta because Jean is not in. So Marta, can you please come here and explain how to solve this question? I know this is Victor's favorite.
So first of all, we have an array as an argument, which we can call person.
It's close.
So we want to calculate the scores first, and then to compare the average.
Mhm.
We want to return the highest score.
Correct. The highest. Ensure the highest score. Based on what criteria? How do you calculate the score?
We need taking the score average as a source of truth.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yep. So then what?
Yeah, so we want to return
Mhm.
the person who has the highest average score.
Correct. Yeah.
So I guess we have to create a variable to find the average.
Mhm.
That's average score.
Any help?
Can we use reduce on the scores?
Okay.
We're not accessing property yet.
Hmm?
We're not accessing the scores property at each object.
The person reducer will loop through the objects, not the scores.
So-
Specific
So the
person,
argument would
dot
be
scores, dot reduce. Yeah, that would only go through.
here.
That would only go through the scores of the first person. I would.
I don't like how it looks like.
Doing a loop there.
What happens if you run this example? If you
You
just
have to
test
loop
it.
it through the object, through the array of those.
Yes. So if we run the example now, it will clearly fail. It will throw an error because it will tell you something like cannot call method reduce of undefined. Can you try it?
How?
Uh-huh. Correct, right? So
Mhm.
why this is happening? Because obviously person is an array. You think at the moment it's an object, right? So then what?
Can you do for persons and rename your array of persons?
That will help.
Are you saying set a variable as the
I'm saying use a for in loop, but you can do it other ways. If you want to use normal for loop.
I would write a different function finding the average of the scores, taking a argument as an object or one of the objects, like separately below that function. Yeah, that's only what I did. I don't know if that's the quickest, nicest way to do it.
Mhm.
But I mean,
So this is get average.
yeah. And pass in there, I would the object, an object.
Objects.
Or person, or the person. Yeah. And in here we find the average of person dot score. So what I did was I set a variable to equal to the array inside of those objects. So I let scores maybe or
Score?
scores, yeah.
Oh.
Scores maybe that doesn't really matter, but yeah, score and then equal to person.
Does it matter if we call it scores because we already have
Oh yeah.
object keys of scores?
I don't know.
kind of
Tell me.
This is what.
Let's call it average score. Yeah.
Average score.
Okay.
It's not the average score because this is the array of the scores, so it's just scores.
Okay. So
Just call it scores with two S's. If you want. I think you
call it
can,
average score.
no, just call it, you can call it scores. You can call it scores. It won't do anything. It's not average scores though. It's just
Oh, no.
it's the array of the score. It's the array, so it's the list.
With
Okay.
the average scores.
We're just in
Right?
this line,
Right?
Just call it scores. It should be,
Okay.
should be fine.
Equals
Scores.
to what?
Equal to person dot scores.
Right.
Okay.
But I buy that. This is absolutely fine, right? There are no issues with this. It's just fine.
And then below that we want to loop through that array, or we can use reduce. I didn't use reduce, but if you're comfortable with reduce, what you want to find the total
Mm-hmm.
of that array and then divide it by the length of the array. If you
Ah,
can't tell you
so
what to do,
scores
you can do
dot
it before
reduce.
loop, or you can do it reduce. It's up to you.
And here the argument would be score.
Accumulator first. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. And the current value is score.
Score.
I guess.
Or accumulator total.
Um, so now the total.
Just reduce the time.
We have to divide it by 3.
Why by 3 and not by 10 or 20?
Because we have.
I would, yeah.
Ah, okay.
No, I wouldn't do it now.
I would do,
outside.
yeah. I'd set that to a variable and then divide that variable by the length. That's just, I'm sure there's a nicer way to do it.
Okay, I can do that.
So just set the whole, set scores dot reduce, so up on line. You
Yeah.
set that whole line to a variable.
What variable? Hmm?
Total score, maybe. And then just divide total score by scores dot length. So on a new line underneath
Right here.
yeah, just drop a line down, yeah, and then average or let average score. Let's call it average equal, yeah. Equal total score divided by scores dot length. Actually, it's scores, but is that wrong?
And this parenthesis, where is the
I don't know. I don't use that notation. I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. You might, instead of doing a let average score, do a return average score for the function. Yeah. Return instead of let.
So
But
you
we
do
are not
an
a-
assignment, so just return the whole thing. So instead of putting an average score, return the whole statement. So return
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
the average score.
Mm-hmm. Here.
Alright.
Marta,
I have to close the reduce somewhere.
sorry, Marta, let's leave it here because otherwise we'll run out of time,
Mhm.
right? So can I finish it?
Yes, of course.
Yes. So thank you, Marta. So usually when we do the exercise, what I would recommend you is to train it first a bit, right? To make sure that, because the only thing is we'll run out of time. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother to spend here as much time necessary. But that's good. I like the approach of creating this function get average to actually, do the complex bit of getting the average, right? just to avoid this penalty on elegance, I will just do that, right? Then it will also help to see if the parenthesis is right or not, because in that case, you see, Marta, that parenthesis is closing here, right? Okay, so we got that function in place. So the function hopefully will give us the average score for each person, right? So then there are two ways, at least, well, there are two, no, there are 20 ways to solve it, but I'm going to do it in two different ways. First of all, using reduce, because I think the reduce approach is interesting. So using reduce, I'm going to look at my plan is two arguments. The first of all, the first argument, this will be the top character. I'm going to rename from persons to characters just to keep consistency, right? If we're talking about characters, let's use characters all the time, right? Again, we'll work with person, that's absolutely fine, but I prefer to have just one single type of semantics, right? Right. So then top character, and the second argument is each individual character. So now, the only thing we have to do is we need to compare is the average score of each character is greater than whichever the top character was. So we can do a ternary operator, and we can say if get average of character is greater than get average of top character, then return what? Correct. We're changing the value of the top character. Else, return what? Correct. So if we do that, obviously we got lots of reds because of some typos, right? Cool. So if we do that, hopefully at the end of this loop, so this won't be the average score, right? This will be, let's return this. So in here, after that, we'll have the top character, but we don't want the entire object. We just want to return his or her name. So how do we complete the exercise? Correct. Correct. This is what Mobbing did on the beginning. We can do that, right? We can use .name at the end, and that may work. So first of all, let's see if that works. Correct. That's fine, right? So that will be the first approach. So that's why reduce is so powerful, because reduce will iterate, and on each iteration, we'll decide if we want to keep one or the other, right? Obviously, we can simplify this a bit, so we can get rid of the return statement. Do you remember that? We explained that yesterday, right? If you use parentheses, so whatever goes in there will be immediately returned, so we can get rid of the return statement. So we don't need that. Yeah, so look, we can put it, it could be a bit more readable maybe, I don't know, let's have a look. Let's see if it works. Yes, it works, right? That's the same thing. I just simplify it a bit by removing the return statement, by replacing the curly brackets with parentheses, right? Any question? No? Yeah. So that's the first way I'll solve it, using reduce. So can you tell me, on the first iteration, what's the value of character? The name.
The name is Kim.
Right, so gray. Say it's Kim.
So after that whole trunk.
No, here. In this line.
On that line.
Yep.
It'll be the first line of the object.
So Kim.
Okay, yeah.
Wrong. It's not Kim.
Is it because you haven't initialized the reduce?
Exactly. You is absolutely right. So you was the first name of the array, of the character.
Undefined unknown, is it?
No. 0. Undefined. Come on, keep going. It's everything wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong.
Empty string.
Empty string. Wrong. What else? You're running out of options, right? Keep. Sorry, say it again. Empty object. Wrong. Right. So that proves that you didn't really understood the question, right? That's why I'm asking, do you have any question, right? So this is fundamental. It's impossible to understand what I'm doing if you don't understand what's the value of the variable, right? So the first name is Boris. Oh, that thing.
Does that initialize as what?
What I don't understand.
Why? Why? This is super important. If you remember, usually with reduce, let me put it in the example below because it's easier. In this example, usually with reduce, we used to do that, comma 0. Remember that? Because we want to set the initial value of the accumulator. Here, otherwise, what's the initial value of total? Why 0? At the moment, why 0? It's not 0. It's never 0. You're assuming things. No, the why 0 is default. No.
Kim's score.
No. Ignore the example on top. Focus on the bottom. Focus on the example at the bottom, right? Right. So you know how to do it, but you don't know why this is working.
I know how it works. I don't understand the.
No, I disagree. You don't know how it works because otherwise you'll be able to tell me what's the initial value of the total.
It's an empty array.
Wrong. Wrong. Right. So by definition, using reduce, you do that. You set up the initial value at the end, 0. So what's now the initial value of total? What's now the initial value of total?
What was the initial value when you don't set it?
Well, that's what I want to explain next. If you explicitly set the initial value, it will take it. If not,
It will take the score of the first.
correct. If you don't pass any default value, it will take the first element of the array. So in that particular case, total will be 56 and a score will be 85, correct? You see the trick? So in here,
And then does it iterate one time less?
exactly, it iterates one time less. Exactly. So how many times this callback function is executed? Correct. And how many times now the callback function is executed? 3 times, correct. This is super important. This is one of the trickiest things about reduce, right? So back to this example. Why character.name is Boris? Because as we haven't specified any default value, right? Top character will be set to the first element of the array. So then character will be the second one, right? It's interesting because you don't have to play around with weird default values here, fake data. You don't have to do it, right? Cool? Cool.
I was wondering why we didn't set the initial value.
Why? Because we don't need to. Whenever you want to loop over an array to compare the elements, reduce will look after that, right? That's why this is so powerful. Cool, so this is the best way to solve it. Well, I'm not sure if that's the best way, to be honest, but this is one way to solve it. I'm going to get rid of it and I'm going to propose an alternative using what? Can you tell me a different way to solve it?
So
Sort, exactly. You can do sort, right? Why? Because with sort, as we explained yesterday, we have 2 characters, character A, comma, character B. So the only thing we have to do is return, because we want to get the top one, if the average, so what do we put here, character A or B? Which one? A, like that. Right. And then what else?
And then you have to return the first element of the sorted array.
Correct. And then what?
The name.
Correct. Will this work?
Hopefully.
Right. So Victor says
Yeah, it will. It will work.
it will work. Okay. Right. Wrong.
Oh, it's B instead of A.
I don't know. Why?
Because
You know why you get penalties on accuracy? Because you do that, you try, you fail, then you say, okay, it will be on the other way around.
so
You try.
if the number is positive, then A is less than B, or A is greater.
Yes.
A is
So-
less than B.
Correct. So
in this case, we're looking for.
to keep it simple, if you want to sort the array from the minimum to the maximum value, you do, A minus B. If you want to sort the array from the highest value to the minimum value, you do B minus A. Right? It's as simple as that. So if we try it, it works. So these are the two ways. Which one do you prefer and why? You prefer short. To me, short is a bit more natural. Right? It sounds a bit more natural. Even though, if I were you, because again, I'm not a huge fan of this structure, so I'll create a variable called let top character equals blah blah blah. No, so no, this is wrong, right? Not top character. It should be sorted characters. So then you can do return sorted character 0 dot name, right? It's not a big deal. Up to you. This is what I would personally prefer. Any question? No? Cool. 33 minutes left. Question number 3. Yeah. Well, actually, we didn't actually review your approaches. So, for example, Osman used sort, right? Which is good, but look, so Osman pretty much did what we've done. The main difference is he didn't create any function like we did here. Because we created this function, for us, the code looks sexier, right? Because Osman had to do all these things twice, right? So that's why we create utility functions, to avoid writing the same code twice, right? Then Tom used the getScore function. So literally, Tom did what is literally a copy paste, right? So he did the same thing. This is very elegant. He used the default value, but as I said, that's not necessary. But apart from that, his solution is very good. Victor, with lots of empty lines, he did the same thing, right? So literally the same thing as Tom. So that's a really good solution. Not using reduce, using sort, but
No, I didn't use reduce for the average score.
right, correct. Yeah, use a for loop. Okay, that's fine. But look after the indentation, right? Because to me, it looks like the function finished here, but no, the function finished there, right? Yeah. So all these things. And who else? We got you. So what you did? So he's getting a new array with the average. You see, I'm struggling a lot to understand that because indentation is wrong all around, right? So even though probably what he did is simple enough, I'm struggling a lot to follow the example. So please look after indentation, spaces between operators, all these things, right? Yeah, I'm going to skip it, sorry, because that's super complicated to me.
We need harder test cases because I cheat the system a bit there. I just use the first score rather than
Yeah, true. Great.
You broke your code.
No, I didn't.
So Gray,
That's what I'm saying. For my example, we need harder test cases because I just use the first score.
yeah, obviously on a real world you'll get that will be absolutely invalid, right? So that means that the psychological winner of the bootcamp of the challenge will be Victor, right? As a side effect. But you know, that's a separate thing. Yeah. So obviously, a gray solution is wrong. Is absolutely wrong, right? Because he's cheating. He's just saying, okay, because I noticed that there is a bug in the code, right? I see that if the first one is top, right?
It's obvious who is.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. So don't do that. That's the right. Question still number 3, I believe. So find shortest word, because we are running out of time and I want to complete the challenge. I'll do it, right? So you just take it as a gift because next time I'll call you, right? So we're going to find the shortest word. Right. So let's have a look. So let's just go for it. Yeah, find the shortest word. So tell me argument name. Sentence. Thank you. So then, what? Return sentence dot split. Oops, like that?
No.
No. Huh. Space. Thank you. And then what? Short. So Marta is suggesting to use short. Can we use reduce?
Probably.
Probably, right? That's the same thing. Again, we can anytime you can use short, you can use reduce, right? But I'm going to use let's use short, right? Because we use short, you tell me what to do. Short what?
Word A, word B.
Word A, comma, word B. I like it. And then what?
And then word B minus word A.
Return word B minus word A. Correct.
Silent.
Correct. Correct. And then what?
We should have assigned all this to a variable so we can find the first element of the string, the array that we have.
But we can find it afterwards, right?
Sure, yeah.
We can put it here.
0.
0. Like that? Right. So, what will this return? Will it be okay? Will it be right? Marta, I assume, says yes because she did it. So Marta is wrong.
I'm not sure if it's finished.
Okay, then go on. I don't know. What did we say the 2.5 minutes ago?
Oh, A to B. It should be
Why?
word A,
So if
because
we do
we're
A
starting
minus
the
B-
minimum to the maximum
Correct. So if we do A minus B, the first element,
will be the shortest.
correct. And if we do B minus A, the first element,
It's the longest.
correct, correct, correct. So it should be on the other way around, right?
What's a good way of remembering?
Well, A minus B, because A comes before B. So that's telling you the order, right? First A and then B. Thinking that way, right?
So that's ascending.
Of
Yeah.
course, it's ascending.
Okay, I can't visualize it.
Yeah, and if you put V, actually, let's see if it works. That works. But then I'm going to ask you something. Let's think that because of whatever reason we want to leave it like that. I don't want to change this line. How do we solve it? This will fail, right? Obviously. How do we solve it?
I think it's a bit horrible. Can't use minus 1 in.
No, you put, switch the variables inside small.
What do it reverse?
Wait, what are we trying to say?
I want to solve it without changing this line.
Yeah, change the inside the variables.
Inside the variable. What is that?
I mean,
Word
the
B and
arguments
word
of
A.
sort.
The arguments of sort, okay?
Change A and change B. Yeah.
I don't want to change. No, I don't want to change that.
Oh, you
Ah,
get it.
the
Short is like that.
the
Yeah.
0 it would be the last
Yeah.
The last what?
the last element
Of what?
of
So then,
the sentence.
Of with. Okay, so that will be sentence dot length, right?
Minus
No, minus 1. Okay. No. Victor is not convinced. I'm going to trust Victor this time.
Well, it's a bit long because you haven't created a variable which is the array, so you have to do sentence dot. You have to do that whole. You have to change return to a variable, I guess, and then change return sentence to a variable.
Here,
Yeah.
call. Let's call it what?
Uh,
Sorted.
sorted split. No,
Let's call it
Sorted.
sorted sentence or sorted words. Okay, and then what?
And then if we return, we can
Return what?
sentence.
Return sentence.
Sorry, sorted words. Sorry.
Yeah, sorted words.
Um, brackets.
Mhm.
And then
And then what?
length of sorted words dot length -1. Actually, -1.
-1. Yeah, I think he's absolutely right. Exactly. That's really good exercise, right? So you see what we've done, right? This is another advantage of creating variables. So we save a variable, and because we've saved the variable, we then can access the length of the array, right? Make sense?
It would work if we didn't assign a variable.
No. Well, technically speaking, look, let's go back. Let's add another restriction. This is a bit off topic already. Eh? So
No, with the last element, not the 0. Not
with the last step, but the last element of what? That's the problem.
This what we are sorting, the words.
Okay, you tell me. What
What it was before sentence.name -1, the last element.
sentence? Okay, right. Like that.
Would it work?
I don't know. So what's the value of sentence.length?
Oh, we need the length of the word, not the sentence.
Sentence is a string. Sentence.length, that will probably
Yeah.
return 25. So that doesn't make sense because our array doesn't have 25 elements, and because of that, it fails, right? So we definitely need to calculate the length of the array. I mean, technically speaking, do you know how to solve it even without creating a variable on a dirty way? So, it's correct. So our friend Osman is right. Technically speaking, we can do something hacky, but valid, technically speaking, which is sentence.split. So you split again, and then you do dot length -1, right? That still works. But that's dodgy. Don't do that because we're doing the same thing twice, right? So that's not very elegant. But yeah, okay, it works. Any question? No? Right. So solutions. We got Jean. So she did literally the same thing we done, right? Easy. Marta, you split and then you use reduced. That's fine.
Complicated.
Yeah, but it's a bit more complicated. And definitely, look, so you are initializing word 0, which is not necessary. So probably if you remove this if you remove this token, it will still work, right? Yeah, but you can at least you can see, you can compare, right? The good thing about this this exercise is you can compare Marta and Jean. So you can see that reduce is a bit more, short is a bit more elegant because it's simpler, right? Cool. What else? Osman. I like the way Osman indentated the code, right? Split and then short. The only thing here is we can get rid of the return statement, remember? So we can simplify this a bit further, right? All good. Tom, the same thing, sorting, easy. And Victor, what's that? You did that to avoid any penalty on elegance.
Yeah.
You make it even worse. That's horrible, right? Never do that. That looks like a different programming language. Right? And try to avoid the empty lines. Right?
I only do that for my own clarity.
That's fine for testing purposes, but before submitting, just get rid of them. Cool. And then we got, so you, the example didn't work. I hope you got why, right?
Oh, right. I was spending too much time on question 2. I skipped
Okay,
this question.
that's fine. And then Ray, so is he hacking this time? Probably not, right?
Right, just doing a weird
Yeah, he's doing again more. Still, that's valid. His solution this time is fine, but it's overcomplicated, right? Again, compared with Gin. Right? Yes, we just need 3 lines probably. Cool. And finally, Alex. So Alex split and then reduce. Again, that's still fine. Just to me, it's a bit more complicated than using short. Right. Any question? No? Right. So question number 4, that again, because we're running out of time, I'll solve it, if you don't mind. So this is to get what? This is to get user scores on the second, third, blah, 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 blah. Right. So we, technically speaking, we have a username and then a list of scores. So we want to display the average score for that user. So because we want to again calculate the average score, I'm going to, before doing anything else, I'm going to create a function called getAverageScore. So that function will receive an array of numbers. So then you tell me how to solve it. Scores, what? Reduce. Score 1, score 2. Total. Total and what? Score? Why did you call it total? We don't want to calculate the total. Well, I don't know what we want to do, right? But okay, let's leave it there for now. And then what? Return total plus score. Yep. And then what?
So I assign all that to a variable and divide it by the score.
Correct. So you want to assign it to a variable. So let total equals, and then you return total divided by scores.length. Right? Do you have any alternatives? So can we do that in one go without creating a variable?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. So we can we do that
After the parenthesis, can we just put
after the,
right?
here?
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely you can put it there, but I don't want to do that. It's simply I just want to return something here, and I want to use to do that operation inside of the reduce.
Can you do score over score divided by
By what? Scores.length. Does that make sense?
that didn't work. And that doesn't know because we're divided by 3 even when you go raw. No, that don't work.
Right. So the thing is, if we get 1, 3, and 5, to get the average, usually we do 1 plus 3 plus 5 divided by 3. And what this returns? 3, correct. But,
Oh no, it does work.
right, if you remember when you went to school some time ago, some of you not that long ago, right, because you are quite young, but this is the same as doing that, right? 1 divided by 3 plus 3 divided by 3 plus 5 divided by 3, right? So then, will this work?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now. We'll see what happens. So, right, I got this function, get average score. So then, tell me about the arguments.
Name
So we've got a
Name and
and then scores together with scores. So
with the first parameter.
correct. So if we put the scores, what's at the moment? What's the value of scores on the first example?
85.
85, right? We don't want that. We want to gather everything else. So what do we put?
Dot
Correct. So now what type of data scores is?
array.
An array. Perfect. Perfect. Nice one. So then, return what?
So
The average score is for no
For what? For who?
for name.
curly braces name
Yeah?
is dollar.
Get average
Yeah.
score.
Yep. Scores. Right? So first of all, to avoid this very ugly solution, I don't want to have any scrolling here, or at least minimize it. So I'll say you to create a variable called score. So here we call it, right? I mean, it's not perfect, probably, but at least it's more readable, right? So will this work or not?
So
If the answer is yes, okay. If the answer is no, you need to defend why you said no.
Give me a second.
Ray, Ru, you.
Wait.
Wait. Marta.
No.
No.
We want the highest score. We are only.
We want the highest
taking
score.
the-
Where do you read that?
Is it
You're
not?
thinking on the other example now. Right, you. Why
Ah,
it
the
doesn't
average
work?
score.
I mean, I didn't say this isn't going to work. I'm just asking. That could be
So
perfect
it should
and
work.
brilliant.
Oh,
I
I don't
think-
know. Is it because I mean it might work, but I think it might not work because reduce works with an array
Yep.
and dot scores is oh no that no it is an array.
Yeah. Scores is the array.
In the function get average score, the argument should be with the
Because
rest
you gather
parameter.
it
or
differently.
no?
Right, let's do something. I'm going to, from now on, I'll try to give you some points for the board challenge because it's a type of board challenge, right? So, whoever gives me the right answer gets 2 points.
So I say no, but I don't agree with how the average is calculated.
Why?
I don't think it works within that body of the reduce.
Is that body of the why?
It didn't work when I did.
Right. So that's bullshit, right?
Okay.
Next one.
So when you do dot scores,
Yeah.
so that scores variable that we have there
Yeah.
is that an array or it is an array?
It will be an array
Okay.
because of the dot dot dot.
Well, if that's an array, then I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Right. I'll give you a hint.
I,
I'll give you a hint. So, but now instead of 2 points, you get 1.5, right? The problem is here.
okay.
The brackets around what?
Oh, we don't.
Ah, that one here,
Starting point.
that's wrong
Initial
because which operation comes first? Adding or dividing?
value, dividing.
Dividing. So that's okay, that's fine. So the order is correct, but still that won't work. And now
Total plus score in bracket.
total plus score,
You need some parentheses, right?
parentheses. Where are the parentheses?
Well, after score, yeah.
Like that. Okay, let's try that.
What makes no difference?
No.
Right,
It's still, yeah.
right.
Okay,
That-
the reduce is
I think
missing.
he's saying divide those steps.
No, yeah, I know, but even if you divide the score by score.net and then add it to the total, or divide that whole thing, it makes no difference.
Yep, yep, yep. Right, wait a minute. Before going any further.
Wait.
Well, wait, yeah, wait.
Reduce is missing an initial value.
No, we just.
Well, we just this is really we just I mean have you been sleeping in the last 10 minutes, right? Right, wait a minute. There is a problem. Before going to the real problem, there is another issue. So what's wrong here? So get average scores. What's wrong here?
Nothing.
No, there is an error. Scores that
Oh,
reduce.
you're not- no, no, no.
No, that's correct, right?
Mhm.
Maybe I'm missing something stupid.
The functions they come usually in red.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Scores dot reduce is not. What was that? Sorry, I'm a bit confused now because that error should be something silly. Total scores dot length. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. What's that? What's that? That's a bit weird, right? Why scores points to the user? I promise. I don't know what's going on at the moment. Okay, let me.
Very hectic.
Oh,
What's going on? Oh, I found it. Right.
What's going on?
That's a stupid error, right? And that happens often. Why why? What's going on, right? Look, what's going on? Y scores points to John, Louis, and Peter. Look, I created a function to get the average score, but unfortunately that function has the same name as the original function. So in reality, I'm overwriting the original function with this one. So this function is never called, right? Yes. Okay, so let's rename that. So get average score. Let's call it do get average score. I mean, to be honest, I think the main problem issue is get average score to me is a bad name for the function because we don't want to get the average. We want to display a message, right? So we probably should call this one display average score or get average score message, something like that, right? It's a bit confusing. Anyway, ignoring that stupid error, that won't work, but I'll give you a hint in a minute. If we run this example, let's see what happens. Exactly.
Around, yes.
Well, are you sure? I mean, if we round 21, we could get 22, which is a bit far away from 66.
Yeah.
Is counting on the first two?
I don't know. You suggested to add the parentheses here because of a exotic reason, but I don't really understand. But let's remove it. Will it work or not? We can put them here if you want. That's fine.
You have to math around the whole.
Okay, but let's ignore the rounding. Okay, even if it goes by some tens away, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not against that, right? We can do it here. Let's round it. Fine. And then what? Let's test it. That's exotic, right? The average score is 130. What's that? It's not even it's not the total, right? What's 130? Where is that coming from?
What's the second one?
The second one is 68.
So it's just adding.
Second one is probably, it's not adding. It's
This
not,
is why.
I do it outside.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Do it outside the review.
Yeah.
God damn it. Why do you do it outside the reviews?
Right.
Obviously don't fully understand.
so that's why it's so important to understand the arguments reduce receives. So, what happened here? What's the first value of the total? Here,
85.
85, correct. Let me do something. I'm going to put back the example of 135 because I think it's simpler, right? It's obvious that the average is 3. Let's back to this example. So what's the first value of total?
1.
Correct. And what's the first value of a score?
1.
No. Come on, explain that. 3. Thank you, Michael. So then, what are we returning? After the first iteration, we said that
4/3.
exactly is, well, 1 plus 3 divided by 3. So it's not 4/3, it's 2. But then we go to the second iteration. Second iteration, what's the value of total in the second iteration? 2, correct. And what's the value of the score? 5, correct. So what after second, which is the result eventually? 2,
Plus 5 divided
2
by
plus,
5.
which is not definitely the average, right? Because this is returning probably 3.6. Yeah, whatever. But the average is clearly 3. So that basic operation is wrong. Why is wrong? Because we are not dividing the first element, the total. Originally, we added 1, right, instead of 1 divided by 3.
So then you have to set an initial.
Exactly. For this particular type of cases, even though there are several ways to tackle them, my suggestion is doing as simple as that. Let's put a 0. Because if you put a 0, let's do it again. What's the first value of total?
0.
0. What's the first value of the score? 1. What are we returning here after the first iteration? 0 plus 0 plus 1, wrong. Why 0 plus 1? Yes, 1 divided by 3. Second iteration was that, and that returns a third, right? Second iteration, what's the value of total? What's the value of the score? What are we returning? Correct. And finally, total. Value. 1.3, correct. Score. Result. Yes, because that returns 1.66666. So 1.33333 plus 1.6666 equals to 3, right? Make sense? So just by doing that silly thing at the end, boom, it works, right? That's why in reality, getting rid of the default parameters sometimes is convenient, but sometimes it's not. So we don't have any strict rule about when should we keep it and when should not. It depends on what do we want to do inside of the reduce function. Any question? Alex?
I will definitely have to watch this again.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So last question, because we just have 3 minutes, and I would like to do it quickly before we run out of time. So let me do it. It's going to be tough. So first of all, combine higher order functions. So higher order functions is either a function that is a callback here or a function that executes as the return statement of the previous function. We'll train this a lot. But for now, arguments, you tell me.
Just
Function, okay, cool, fair enough. So what we know is the function, this function, return another function. Why? Because we're executing it, you see? You see that parenthesis free? So that means that once we run this, then we run the function another function. So here we need to put function. And that function receives an argument. Tell me, the argument name. Number, perfect. So then, this is the important thing. What do we return here? Fn. Yeah? Yeah. That's correct. Why? Why?
Because in the first case you've got a number 3, you
Yep.
multiply that by 50.
Yep.
In the second case, again, you do number times 5, and you get 35.
Yeah. Yep.
The function this time is 2 times n, so
Yep.
then 70, and so on.
Correct. Let's see if it works, and we have 1.5 minutes to explain it. So in the first example, that function, that highlighted text, that does nothing, right? It just returns another function. So we are here. And then, once this happens, we invoke this function, we invoke this line, passing the number 3. So number equals to 3. And then, in that case, is where we are expected to invoke this function that was provided as the argument, passing another number, n. What's n? We don't know what's n. But what we know is that whatever we pass here will be returned. If we pass 1, return 1. If we pass 5, return 5. Because we want to return 15, if we have 3, what do we need to do in order to get 15? We have to, we could add 13, we could, I don't know, we could divide 30 by 3. There are several strategies, but what we know is that we have to multiply by 5 based on what happened next. So let's look at the second example. We know that when we receive 7, n has to be a number that the result of, it's a bit complicated to explain, right?
If you
But
work backwards, it's probably easier.
yeah, okay.
17 divided by-
Yes,
I find that if you work it looks initially, which I thought was n times 3, then 2 times n times 7.
Yep.
How I thought it worked initially,
Mhm.
and then from there you see it doesn't work.
Yep.
And you change it a bit,
Yep.
and then you understand more.
Yep.
about what's happening.
Yeah. So yeah, we run out of time, right? Unfortunately, we cannot complete it. So something I will ask you is for next challenges. The reason why we are moving the review to the day after is because I would like you to check if you did something wrong. I would like you to investigate a bit, right? Because I would like everyone the day after to participate a bit more on this, right? Yeah, but apart from that, and assuming that this last example is a bit complicated, and we'll go through it again as many times as necessary, is there any question?
Did you find that fun group? Your function?
Yes.
I don't know what to do.
Cool. Alex, anything else on your side?
Not now.
Right.
but
Okay.
I'll ask you.
Cool. Thank you, Alex. And remember not to do what Osman did here, right? If number is 2,
No.
then do right. Well,
Good to know.
just joking. Well, not joking, but anyway. Cool.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks.
See you Monday. Have a great weekend, and
You
looking forward to
too.
catch up soon.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.